Hey y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode we're going to talk about the 2019 NWA Crockett Cup. Now, let's jump right into it. The first match of the night, we had a wild card battle royal with the winner getting the last spot in the Crockett Cup tournament. I had Titus and Ferrara, the boys, the Dawson brothers, who were my favorites to win, but alas they didn't. Another team, I'm sorry, their name slips me. And Royce Isaacs and Tom Lattimore. Tom Lattimore, most of you will know as Bram. A little bit of a surprise on this one, with Lattimore and Isaacs picking up the win. I did not expect that at all. I kind of felt like this was their way of building that team for the future of the NWA and being a team that's going to go on with them. I kind of expected either the Dawsons to win or one of the Ring of Honor teams, just for name value going forward. But hey, it's the Crockett Cup. If you remember the old ones, there was a lot of upsets in those as well. Famously, and they talk about it here, the Rock and Roll Express and their only Crockett Cup did not make it out of the first round. So, again, like I said, Royce Isaacs and Tom Lattimore pick up the win. I'm going to give the match a 3, and if you haven't watched any of my videos before, I grade everything on a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. I give this match a 3. I liked it, I enjoyed it, I thought, it was fun. I'm a person that enjoys battle royals. There was a little bit of some lumbering here, a little bit of confusion where both people had to be eliminated for a team to be eliminated. So, it was fun, I guess, a good opener, in my opinion. Now, next up, our first of the round 1 matches for the Crockett Cup. Flip Gordon and Bandido representing Ring of Honor, which we'll get to that because a lot of companies were represented tonight, or during the matches, versus Guerrero Maya Jr. and Stuka Jr. representing CMLL. I'm going to be perfectly honest, I don't follow a lot of CMLL or Mexican wrestling just because it doesn't translate well for me. I'm not a fan of the lucha style. I like it a little bit when it's mixed in with American style or Japanese style or even British style, but a whole lucha card, kind of hard for me to follow. It's just, car crash after car crash. That being said, I thought this was a fantastic match. Again, another match that served well early in the card to get the crowd into it. A fast-paced match with guys flying all the way around. Flip and Bandido made a great team together. They pick up the win here. I'm going to give this match a 3. I thought it was a fun match again. Nice way to get the ball rolling, get the crowd into it, get the matches right up and going. Now our second first round match, the War Kings, Jack Stain and Crimson versus Isaacs and Lattimore, the winners of the Wild Card Battle Royal. I kind of expected the War Kings to go far in this and even maybe go to the finals. Unfortunately, I was wrong. Isaacs and Lattimore pick up the win, with Isaacs pinning Dane with his feet on the ropes. I was a little shocked at this ending. The match itself was a little bit sloppy. From everything they said on commentary, this is the first time Isaacs and Lattimore have teamed together, which I don't know if it's true or not. It may be true. I've never seen them team together, so it's possible it's true. Again, like I said with the opening thing, I think maybe they were trying to develop a new team that would be an NWA team. Although the War Kings, who have been an NWA representative and have been an NWA team, and even have a former NWA World Champion as part of it, I think would have been my pick to go further in this. But I'm not the person booking it. The match itself felt clunky. It felt a little bit off pace. This was probably my least favorite match of the night. I'm going to give this match a 2. Now, our third match, and the match I most looked forward to in the first round, the Briscoe Brothers versus the Rock and Roll Express. And before the match, we see Jim Cornette interviewing the Rock and Roll Express. And wow, I've seen them. We've all seen them. They look old. They're old men. They even said on commentary, one of Ricky Morton is 62 and Robert Gibson is 60. They're older gentlemen, and they still wrestle really well. I mean, they're still the Rock and Roll Express. They may not be as fast as they used to be, but they're just as good as they ever were psychology-wise. And you got a team like the Briscoes, who are probably one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the whole world, if not the top team in the world. And this match, like I said, it was the one I was most looking forward to see what would happen. And it didn't disappoint. This match played out like an old Rock and Roll Express match, also like a Briscoe Brothers match. Their styles meshed well together. The Rock and Roll Express always did mesh well against bigger teams, against the Russians, against the Road Warriors, against Warlord and the Barbarian. They had great matches with teams that were bigger than them. And this is not an exception. This is another match that they had with a team that was bigger, rougher, and a big contrast in styles. The Briscoe Brothers pick up the win here. I'm going to give this match a 5. One of my favorite matches on the night. I really enjoyed this. Lived up to my expectations. Now, coming off of that, our last of the first round matches, Villain Enterprises of PCO and Brody King versus Kojima and Nagata representing New Japan Pro Wrestling. I don't want to say I'm underwhelmed because Kojima and Nagata are legends. They're fantastic wrestlers. They've been for a long time fantastic wrestlers. And they're a great benefit to have on your card. But if you want me to believe that the Crockett Cup is representing the best of the best, you do like Ring of Honor did. You put your best teams like Villain Enterprises and the Briscoe Brothers in there. I think we would have been better suited to see either Evil and Sonata or the Gorillas of Destiny or another top-level team, maybe Roppongi 3K. Not bashing Nagata and Kojima, just kind of felt like New Japan gave their also-rans, basically. Nagata and Kojima are nowhere near being tag team champions, and again, not a knock. Legendary wrestlers. If I was to have a New Japan Hall of Fame, they'd both be in it. And it's great seeing them in America. And that could be one of the reasons why they put them here, because it is great to see them, even though they're not a top team. But anyway, I went way down this wormhole. Villain Enterprises picks up the win in a really solid match here. I'm going to give this match a 3. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. Now, coming off of that, that's our end of the first round. We have Medusa coming out, who introduces the match for the vacant NWA Championship, which Jazz had to relinquish due to injuries. We'll see what that comes out to be, because not much is being said of what actually is wrong with Jazz. And Jazz, if for some reason you stumble upon this video, I hope you're doing well. I really enjoy your work. I have since you've been in ECW originally. You're a great wrestler. Get well soon. Hopefully you get over whatever it is that's ailing you. That being said, jumping into the match, we have Allison K, formerly known as Sienna, versus Santana Garrett. 2 top-tier, top-notch independent women's wrestlers. 2 wrestlers who I think are some of the best women in the world and an asset to any company that they wrestle for. I thought this match was good. I really enjoyed this. It was a fun match. I like how they wrestle. Santana Garrett is a fantastic wrestler. She's a fantastic storyteller. Allison K is fantastic in that bully type role where she wants to overpower and overwhelm you. I think she does a fantastic job at it. She portrays it very well. I think both of these, like I said, they're both top-tier, top-notch women, top-notch wrestlers, period, women or men. I thought this was a really fun and a really good match. Allison K picks up the win. I'm going to give the match a 4. Like I said, I thought it was really fun, and I enjoyed it. It was... If I couldn't have the original advertised match of Allison K versus Jazz, this was a really good replacement. Now, coming off of that, we go right into the second round, where we have Flip Gordon and Bandido going up against Isaacson and Lattimore, the surprise team of the tournament so far. And again, Isaacson and Lattimore surprise here again. This match, to me, was a little bit better fit. They worked better with Flip and Bandido than they did with the War Kings. I thought they matched up more with them. It wasn't as clunky. It didn't feel as out of place. Maybe they were getting... The more of the night went on, they more understood each other and became a cohesive unit. This is their third match, obviously, as a team in the night. And I liked this match. I thought it was fun. It was a really good match. Isaacson and Lattimore, again, pick up a surprise win, this time holding Flip's pants, holding his trunks instead of where before we had the feet on the ropes. So we're seeing them being definitely noted as the heels and doing the heel tactics to move forward. I'm going to give this match a 4. I really liked it. As opposed to their other match that I thought was the worst match of the night, I thought this one was really good. Now, next up, we had another match that was a really good match as well. The second of the round 2 matches. The Briscoe Brothers versus Villain Enterprises. And these guys just beat the crap out of each other. This was a bar fight. This was a brawl. Spills outside. They start getting chairs involved. They throw chairs in the ring. We see Brody King hits Jay Briscoe in the back with a chair behind Paul Turner, or the referee's back. I think it was Paul Turner. And he was distracted with Mark Briscoe, who also had a chair. Everybody in the ring had a chair. Then Mark, in retaliation, hits Brody back with the chair. The Briscoes end up getting disqualified. Then they beat the crap out of Villain Enterprises with chairs. They look to injure him. Mark does a rolling senton off the top rope onto PCO who's basically buried in chairs, and looks to injure his arm. And they just beat the crap out of him. Even though Villain Enterprises went forward, they did not look to be the winner. They win by disqualification. I'm going to give this match a 4. It was fun. It's what you would expect out of these two teams. They would beat the crap out of each other back and forth. A little bit disappointed in the outcome, and I'm trying to keep that away from my rating of the match, because I kind of wanted the Briscoe Brothers to win the Crockett Cup. I feel like it's something that, for as long as they've been one of the best tag teams in the world, they deserve that kind of recommendation and that kind of credit to them as being that team. But again, not taking any away from the Villain Enterprises, who won the match. And I thought it was a really good match. I'm going to give it a 4, like I said. Next up, we have a continuation of the Legends coming out. We see the 3 Midnight Express members, Loverboy Dennis, Sweet Stan Lane, and Beautiful Bobby. And it's a cool little promo. Kind of weird that they didn't have Cornette come out and do the promo with them, because it's pretty obvious why he was with them. None of them really made a good promo. He came out to introduce the Rock and Roll Express, but didn't come out with his team, the Midnight's weird. Great to see Dennis Condrey, who's been fighting throat cancer and has finally beat it, and famously says on here that he shouldn't even be talking without assistance, but somehow he is. That was a great match, I thought, or a great spot. Love seeing the Midnight Express there. One of the great tag teams of all time. One of the representatives of the NWA, of course, which ties it back. And that's another thing. This whole night, there was a lot of really cool nostalgia. The graphics were set like 80s style NWA graphics. The ring mat was made to look like a old NWA, especially if you go watch like Starrcade 83. It's the blue mat with the yellow NWA on it. And it was awesome. It was great seeing that, and it's great for that nostalgia factor. Now, coming from that, two guys that I think would work in any era, even the 80s, Willie Mack versus Colt Cabana for the North American title. Again, another really fun match, a really good match, hard-hitting. We're seeing a little more serious side of Colt Cabana. Even Jim Cornette commented on it, who he's famously been against some of the things that Colt Cabana's done. But, you know, I thought this match was good. I thought it was fun. These are two guys that I think are always going to have a good match with each other, and pretty much anybody else they wrestle. They know how to entertain you. Surprisingly, Colt Cabana picked up the win. I kind of felt like he was going to, but again, I still felt like it was a surprise a bit. Winning the North America Championship. I give the match a 4. I thought it was really fun, really entertaining. After the match, we have James Storms come out and cuts a kind of work shoot promo talking about the last time he was in the NWA. The office didn't want him to be champion and blah, 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 blah. James Storm just come out and cut out that I'm a badass cowboy and I'm here to take your North American title. We don't have to go the work shoot route, especially in the NWA. I didn't like the promo. I like James Storm. I think he's a great wrestler. I think he would be an asset to the NWA. He very much fits the NWA style, the tradition. He's a top-level wrestler in the world, but that work shoot promo just didn't fit to me. It just didn't feel right. On such a classic format and a classic way that's been set up for the Crockett Cup, it just didn't feel right. I'm sorry. But ultimately, we see that he's challenging Colt Cabana for the North American title at some point. Next up, we have Caprice Coleman interviewing Nikita Koloff. And ultimately, Magnum TA comes out. They interview them both together for a little while. Funny bit in there in the middle, Nikita starts cutting his talking with his Russian accent, and then drops it and talks in his normal voice, where Caprice calls him out for it, and he says, "Caprice, I've been in America for 35 years. You don't think I picked up on English?" Which, great way to save kayfabe there, Nikita. I know you didn't want to do the gravelly Russian voice that whole time, but it felt really good. It was a really good way to put logic into the reason why you're speaking in your natural voice. Really cool, and they're both there with the Crockett family to basically watch the final match, the finals of the Crockett Cup, which ends up being the Villain Enterprises versus Isaacs and Lattimore, who are joined by Medusa, who we've seen kind of talking to them in their earlier match a little bit. So apparently she's their manager at this point. I like this match. I feel like after the last couple matches, it was a little bit, in my opinion, a little bit of a letdown. A little bit. It's easy to see when you put the Isaacs and Lattimore, and I'm not knocking either guy. I think they're both really good wrestlers. I just think for them to have a good match at this point, this being this new, especially if it really is the first night that they teamed, their best match was against Flip Gordon and Bandido, who've worked together a lot. So they put together a good match with them. And not that Villain Enterprises aren't a good team. They need a certain style of team to work with. They're a car crash, semi-hardcore style. Doesn't really work with everybody. And this match was a little bit not as good as the last couple matches, and definitely not as good as the main event, which comes afterwards. Villain Enterprises picks up the win. I was a little bit surprised with that because I thought they were going to go all the way with Isaacs and Lattimore as the underdog team. I'm going to give this a 3. Like I said, it was a good match. It just felt a little flat coming off the last few matches, which I thought were really good. Now we go to the main event of the evening for the 10 pounds of gold the NWA World Championship, former best friends, Nick Aldous defending the title against Marty Scurll. I thought this was a fantastic match. I thought this was great from the beginning all the way through. Nick Aldis gets busted open, and he's bleeding all over the place, and it looks like an old school 80s NWA match. You're seeing the blood stain the blue canvas. You're seeing the blood on the yellow NWA letters, which, watching wars between guys like Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes, or Nikita Koloff and Magnum TA, or Tully Blanchard and Dusty Rhodes, or the wars with Arn Anderson and Ole Anderson versus Rock and Roll Express. You would see blood all over the place. And it's so felt right. And I know there's, we've got away from the blood and guts, and I know there's a place for it sometimes, and if you use it sparingly, like here, the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton got blood in his match earlier in the night. But if you don't make it too obvious, and this seemed to be an accidental thing, I don't know if maybe it was on purpose, but it just added to the drama, in my opinion. It added to the sense of urgency that Nick Aldis had. I thought this was a very, very good match. I thought it was top quality. Two great wrestlers again. Nick Aldis, to me, is one of the best wrestlers in the world. It's kind of a shame that he doesn't have a bigger platform, or he's not on a bigger platform like New Japan or Steady on Ring of Honor or even the WWE at this point, because I wish more eyes were on him to see the level of wrestling that he's putting out there. And it's, no knock to the NWA. The 10 pounds of gold, they're doing a fantastic friggin' job with this. I just wish some more people could get their eyes on Nick Aldis and see how great he is right now, and how amazing this run has been. And I've seen a lot of his matches during this run, and he's not had a bad match as champion. He is the perfect NWA champion. He can wrestle well, he can brawl well, he can talk. He's an amazing talker. He's a great representative of the company. I met him a while back at a Ring of Honor show about 4 months ago. Actually, not even 4 months ago, like 3 months ago, maybe. But anyway, I digress. I met him there, and he was fantastic. He was signing autographs with the belt and a three-piece suit on, had the suit and a vest and a tie on. He let you hold the NWA title, which that was amazing, getting to hold the NWA championship after the lineage of the NWA. And I know it doesn't mean what it used to mean. I get it, so you don't have to put that in the damn comments. But for someone of my generation, holding that belt meant that you held the best belt in the world. That's the championship of Ric Flair and Lou Thesz and all the greats like Dory Funk Jr., Terry Funk, Jack Briscoe, Harley Race, Dusty Rhodes, Ricky Steamboat. I mean, on and on and on and on. Steve Corino. Even if when you come into the later years, when it was quote unquote not so much important title, we still had really important people winning that championship. So to me, it was great to hold that. And I digress. I know I'm getting off topic here. The match was amazing. Ultimately, Aldous picks up the win with his, we call it Chesterfield Cloverleaf, whatever they call it. It's the Texas Cloverleaf. I thought this match, best match of the night. I gave it a 5. Afterwards, Marty and Nick have a good reconciliation. They both cut a promo talking about the match and the NWA and each other. Fantastic all the way around. I thought the match was a 5. With all that being said, overall, we're going to go through the night. I'm going to say this whole night was a 4. There were some things I didn't like. Like I said, the War Kings and Isaacson Lattimore, probably my least favorite match of the night. The Battle Royal could have been better. A couple of the other matches could have been a little bit better. But it's really getting nitpicky on a card and a night where they gave me a lot to enjoy. I loved the title match. I loved the tournament for the most part. Love the involvement of the legends being brought out. Love the aesthetic. Love the presentation. Overall, like I said, I'm going to give it a 4. I thought it was a really good card. And again, NWA is really knocking it out of the park with these. If they do one of these a quarter and keep going with what they're doing with the 10 pounds of gold, I really think this is a business model that can work. And to me, I hope they keep going. I hope the NWA continues to become something that's relevant in the wrestling world. Because to me, it harkens back to something that was relevant when I was growing up. So, again, I really hope that they keep their momentum going. With all that being said, my name is George Coles, and this has been my review of the Crockett Cup 2019.